Hello, Cancer. Welcome to your reading for the month of February. I just received a message for you that said, don't worry about doing something twice, or don't worry about having to take your time with something, or maybe I don't know if there's some kind of delay, or you just can't do something as quickly as you hoped to this month. But it said, don't worry about having to do something twice or waiting to do it, because it'll be the same result. So, not that you can't improve something, it's more of like it's more saying that divine timing, the timing will be right. You'll feel it. It'll happen naturally as well. So like you don't need to put pressure on something. Now, Aquarius season, February in particular, the sun is in your 8th house for the first 3 weeks. So most Cancer risings and Cancer sun, generally speaking, the sun is putting a spotlight on your very intimate connections with other people, your profound experiences with life and death. The 8th house is the house of carnal response. So sex and death can be very similar in that they elicit that very primal carnal response. Your focus for this month is on perhaps your taxes. It is tax season for a lot of us. So getting that stuff together, maybe talking about finances with your partner, making investments, setting up retirement. So there's a financial aspect to this, but the financial aspect is not just you. It's more how you can either benefit from other people, or maybe other people need something from you. Maybe you owe taxes, or you're behind payments on something, or there's an investment with a partner, or because of a partner, maybe there's some like a need for a little bit of extra money in some area. This house is Scorpio. It is Pluto ruled, and it is very profoundly effective. Again, that carnal response. So there could be some lessons this month about how you respond to certain things. I find when the sun is in the 8th house, there can be a fascination for very dark things, morbid things, the occult, like any unsolved mysteries that require a lot of investigation. It's kind of a season of investigation for you. You want to solve something, you want answers, you want to know everything, you want to go deeper, you want to know something from the inside out. You could retrace, you could find something, you could reclaim or recover something. You also may lose something just due to the nature of this house. In the last week of the month, the sun will go into your 9th house. So first in this month, you have very deep exploration, maybe of yourself, of a partner, of a company, something, some kind of topic, a mystery, something that you want to know more about. Going behind or going under the surface, going behind appearances, deeper, penetrative, digging, uncovering, fascination with that, such determination, focus, passion, obsession. At the end of the month, the sun goes into your 9th house. So you can see how there's this natural progression from what you're discovering and focusing on, learning what's really speaking to you in the first 3 weeks, and then how you pursue it, or how you continue to pursue it, or then share your findings with others. In the 9th house, it's about education, specializing, further education. So again, specializing in something like specific training or post-secondary education, a master's degree, a PhD. Very specialized the further and further you go. And really that speaks to your values as well, because it does indicate, well, what's so important to you? What's interesting to you? Who are you? You know, your identity is there's a clue to your identity or who you are through the things that you choose to study and how you spend your time, right? What fascinates you about the unsolved is actually helping to solve something within yourself. This is, you know, the 8th and 9th houses are really interesting for archaeology, forensics, and psychic work. So I'd say archaeology, forensics, and psychic work, the occult. 8 is a number of infinity. It's a number of karma cycles, right? Things looping back and forth like this. It's also kind of how energy works when it's contained within a box. Wavelengths will hit the other side and then retrace, hit the other side, retrace. There's never a constant flow. It's more like it kind of stops for a second and then redirects. So in the number 8, you know, in the 8th house, I think we have to make difficult choices about longevity, the long term, permanence, what that means, what it looks like. The ruling planet of the 8th house, which is Pluto, is in the sign of Aquarius from the end of March onward for the next 20 years. So right now, for the next month and a half before Pluto moves into Aquarius, this is a very important time of like preparing the garden for what you're going to plant there. The garden representing so many things in your life, right? Like this is about long-term investments. Where am I going? What am I planning for? What am I budgeting for? What I invest in or work on now is going to be so different in 5, 10, 20 years. So there's also a hope for growth. As much as this house is about what's done is done, and the repercussions of that, I think this house also represents the hope for the next cycle. So in that way, this house represents endings and beginnings. And the harshness of those endings, but then the hope of the new beginning. With, here's the gift, with the wisdom of that past experience. And Cancer, you're so spiritual, just so tuned in, so intuitive, so unbelievably on the point. You just know. There could be an interest, like for you, Cancer, because you're so tuned in to those energies. You share that in common with the 8th house with Scorpio, right? You share that those life-changing experiences and the deep feeling and the deep intuition and the protection of the people you love, protection of self. You might really, I'm hearing for you that you might really have to hunker down and fiercely defend or fiercely protect someone at this time. And I think travel could also be on your mind. I'm feeling like you're interested in other places, because there's a mystery to that as well, that whatever hasn't been explored or solved is then explored and solved in the 9th house. Because it gives us the expansion, the number 9, very powerful number, gives us the expansion to foray into that next cycle. Because the 9 will either return to itself in mathematics or it disappears. It becomes a 0. And we have that 360 degrees of a circle. Something could be coming full circle for you this month. Or feel more completed, or like the cycle is done. Anyway, let's get you a card. You've got the dragonfly representing emergence. The dragonflies will first live underwater before emerging, being born and emerging to the surface, emerging from a place of not knowing, a place of waiting, a place of just being, but with also the hope and the awareness of this approaching threshold. Show me home and family for Cancer. Look at this. The way they jumped onto my arm. You've got like two cards just jumped and were clinging to me. You've got the Six of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. Brilliant. So you're really making an effort to do something. You're studying the pattern. I don't know if you are an employer or if you're an employee, but there's an emphasis on patterns here and how things improve or grow, but also how things maintain or how they remain consistent throughout the pattern, which therefore establishes the pattern is the consistency. What do you come to notice about the particular rhythm or the measurements or the cycles? Is it your work? Are you hiring a person? Have you reached a level of mastery where you can take on an apprentice? Are you now the journeyman? I think you are, because there is, in the 8th house, when we talk about karmic cycles, there is something that sort of gets removed, but there's also something that walks in. So as you move up, there's room for something beneath you or beside you. But I feel this is where you take on a helper. But this, also training yourself, learning, right? Getting to that point of wanting to specialize, learning new skills, furthering your education, furthering your practice, learning as much as you can from a really, I'm hearing, revered professional, someone who you can really trust and who knows what they're talking about. So some kind of, I'm hearing popularity, notoriety. The most popular ones are not always the ones that are the right one for you. And that being said, because I was thinking of teachers when I was thinking this, but in love as well, that's what reflects back to you. Someone who will turn their back to the world for you. But not that that's what we are intending or expecting, but it is the energy that helps you feel seen and safe and protected. When that is received, you then share the protection. In protecting others, you protect yourself. There is so much maturity, and the way that you have grown, I can see that it's been challenging. I can see that you've really put in a lot of effort. You could be returning. Someone could be returning home. You could be returning. I think you're very happy to notice that something has improved. Someone has matured before your eyes. It's like you can step aside. What I'm hearing is you can step aside and trust someone to take care of something while you're not there. Or maybe, again, if you're ready to take on an apprentice or like hire a new person at your work. This you can trust this person. You might have a hard time stepping aside or acquiescing a bit. I think that there's a tendency for, I guess, dominance and control, but that's not really the... You like to take the reins. You like to take the reins and you keep them tightly together. And so it can be challenging for you to believe that someone else will step in. This is where your cardinal aspect really shows. And this is something that might be a tricky lesson to learn from Aquarius this season, is how to be less emotionally attached, is what I was hearing. How to be insensitive, Jan Arden. Is there some kind of ceremony, some kind of medals being given out, recognition, how far you've come, like report cards? There's something about this step. Someone's getting a congratulations or some kind of achievement award, but they've earned their stripes, they've earned the next belt, they've earned something, they've done well. And I see this as a protective energy, looking at everything you've grown and how it's all growing on its own now. They're no longer like the little seeds in the garden to the first flower to the whatever. These plants are self-sustaining now. Whatever you've planted is self-sustaining now. And I think you're watching it with a little bit of nostalgia, maybe the fear of not being needed, but also the pride. And you've done so much work on yourself. Like, this is just living in the moment, being joyful and appreciative and feeling so much love. You want to start training on something, you want to start doing something that is so aligned with where you're at. Like, you've really evolved. I think you feel quite healed, you feel better, you feel positive. There could also, but the Six of Wands can also be like you've solved something and here you come, you stroll back into your office with like a smile because you've solved something. You're like, yes, I did it. And there's a difference here between what the audience sees and what you see. Like what the public sees versus what is shown just to you or the ones who create it. So there's a lot of work that went into this. There's so much, it's so deep compared to how it looks. There's so much behind the surface or behind the scenes under the surface that has helped. Something's emerging, something's growing. I don't know if one of your children was delayed in learning something, but they've done it. They've done it. So someone is graduating here. There's a promotion. There's a lot of pride and like I'm proud of you. And okay. Love. Wow. You know what is so weird? This has happened before. Ace of Cups, I'm shuffling and it jumps into the flame. The purifying flame. Love. Ace of Cups, Two of Pentacles, Seven of Cups. Someone's waiting. Someone is like deliriously in love. I think a person you care about could be experiencing some health issues because something's overwhelming here. There's a burst of pressure. There's something that's just gotten out of control. It's become too much. There could be an outburst. They could have outbursts. They need some kind of balance. I think someone's maybe struggling with they can't sleep, or there's brain damage, or there's some, like, this is serious, I know, but there's someone that just really is struggling with clarity. They're confused, they're overwhelmed, they're having a hard time. Things feel foggy for them right now. Could be juggling multiple jobs and still wondering where their money goes. I'm going to get a card of advice for this. Show me a card of advice for Cancer's highest good for the month of February. King of Cups. So this could be the water sign masculine energy, but as advice, healing the emotions, talking about it, having an honest conversation, showing that there is support, showing that someone is safe to reveal something or talk about how they really feel. There's a need to, like, be open with the emotions, but not let them. Someone is consuming something too. I don't know if it is alcohol or if it is some kind of substance, but there is too much consumption of that, and it is creating if someone's having a hard time, I don't know if that's what they're spending their money on, or if that's what's creating the psychological, like the confusion or the depression or the almost reliance on it. And King of Cups is the one that heals from addiction. It's a struggle, but he has that inner strength. So you've got to have that inner strength to recover from this. So it's either providing a safe space for someone to talk, but this goes hand in hand with what I was saying as well, with someone who needs to, like, slow down a little bit, just come back to the self and cut the chains. Something feels like chains, like I just can't let it go, or I can't get rid of it, or I can't stop, or I can't feel better. But there's so much building up inside that they have to let it go. To sit with themselves, it's going to be a challenge at first, but they have to want it. They have to want this change. If someone is trying to give something up, they can truly want it. But I guess being careful that you're not an enabler, or they're not enabling you. Someone is enabling someone, and it's hard because they might have a hard time saying no. And unfortunately, when you can't say no, then the other person becomes enabled because you're never going to stop them. So maybe there is a need for a little bit of help. I don't know. It's hard in every situation. Some of us are alone dealing with those things. Some of us have someone else. So I can't really fully say. But you do have to have that inner strength, right? To walk away from something, to heal from it. There's a distancing as well, putting the past in the past and feeling like I keep feeling you need to sever some kind of tie. This is 8th house stuff, right? It's very, very intensely connected to us, but we have to separate that a little bit. I want to be this person. I do not want to be this person. I want to be healthy. I do not want to be unwell. I want to be strong. I want to heal. I want to be in control of my choices. I want to be in control of my life. I do not want to be a victim in my own life. I do not want to be dependent on something else. Some of you just if you're communicating with someone on the other side, just be careful, obviously, who you tell, because I think someone might, you might want to keep something to yourself. But I also, yeah, there's connection, there's communication. Someone might think they're crazy. So it's like you've got to really show that you're like emotionally stable, I think, or maybe just don't share those things with certain people. Spirituality is such an interesting thing because it's so, we can share, we can join together and all feel the same things, but it's such a personal experience, isn't it? But as much as it is personal, it's about that connection to something else. Love feels very spiritual. Love is a blessing for you, but something is needing to get balanced. It's either someone's mental health, or like, do they just need to know that they're supported? They need to know they're supported. And that they can speak without judgment. Someone's taking the blame for what they did in the past, but they're so long healed from it that it's time to purge the heart of all that pain. Show me career, finances, Cancer, career, finances. I was just drawn to how perfect the light was. Death, Justice, Ten of Wands, well, I'm getting a Saturnian thing here, like the boss is watching over you and you better keep going. Is it within the job description? Is it realistically something that you need to take on? Is it something you can take on? There could be extra tasks or responsibilities asked of you. Because I do see 8th house energy here, death and justice, there could be some taxes, something about taxes, or just having to put in a little bit of extra work. Some of you could be audited, having to put in extra time, organization, or again, extra pay, like some payment, I don't know if you've got to pay some kind of taxes, or something needs to be paid for. I think there could be an outstanding debt. 8th house is the house of debts. It seems like this is a month of hard work, that's for sure. Yeah, February is a month of hard work. And power. I'm going to say power. Be careful losing balance, though, because someone might get a little angry or want to, I don't know, I just think I'm getting it looks like the Jenga game. You have to maintain balance here. A lot of you could just be on the last kind of few steps of a project or a path. You see the finish line, but you are pretty overwhelmed at this point. And I have to say that the ending is going to be such a beautiful relief. So keep going, because the end will really pay off. The end will be what balances everything out, and it'll allow you to rest and have that pride of finishing something or reaching that goal, whatever it was. Someone sees your efforts, and it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it. Anything else Cancer needs to know? The Hermit. The Hermit, eh? Well, you're really focusing on your inner world this month. Humble living, humble tasks. There's an innocence here. There's kind of a seriousness to it. There's a good intentions. Just on the path, on the good path. Take care of your body. Allow yourself to be healed by the mundane things that you do.